my name is Gallagher. I'm a professor of cancer biology based in University College Dublin and also co-lead of the All-Ireland Cancer Research Institute.
And I'm Mark Lawler, Professor of Digital Health at Queen's University Belfast and also co-lead of the All-Ireland Cancer Research Institute. It goes back actually to the Good Friday Agreement in 1999, and out of that Good Friday Agreement came this idea that Paddy Johnson had when he came back from the United States, was to actually look at ways in which we could work together on the island of Ireland. And nobody really thought about this before, but it made perfect sense. Cancer knows no borders, so therefore it made sense for us to work together. And what made it really special was it also involved the National Cancer Institute in Washington. And so that led then to a tripartite arrangement with our two departments of health and the National Cancer Institute, which gave rise to research that was done right cross-border. And I suppose that sort of started the idea in relation to that, and then Liam and myself then wanted to look to see, well, how can we do that now in 2022? And we started working on this, I guess, about 3 years ago, Liam, probably.
Yeah. So I suppose what we've been doing is really, I suppose, building a community together across all Ireland, really, of cancer researchers, but also other key stakeholders, particularly patient advocates. We've done a significant degree of engagement, obviously within the kind of university research sector, academic research sector, but also with industry partners, charity partners, other key stakeholders. And really what we've done particularly over the last year and a half to 2 years, is really kind of, I suppose, build a vision for an overarching framework for cancer research across the island of Ireland, where we can harness all of our different skills and expertise. We're targeting, I suppose, 4 kind of key topics which are of significant interest to cancer patients. Also the broader issue of cancer, particularly the context of cancer prevention, cancer diagnostics, treatment, but also importantly survivorship, quality of life issues. And what we've been doing over the last 2 years is really, I suppose, focusing on specific areas of interest. For example, the area of digital health, which Mark particularly focuses on, the area of precision oncology. I've a particular interest. So we've identified these kind of specific areas where there's common interest across the island, and we want to really come together and focus on these. So I'm Deputy Director of a programme called Precision Oncology Ireland. This is a large-scale Science Foundation Ireland strategic partnership programme where we're bringing together researchers from 5 different academic institutions, 8 companies and 6 cancer charities. And the particular focus of this is really on, I suppose, developing new solutions really for a better and more effective treatments for cancer patients. So, gone are the days where there's a one-size-fits-all approach to treatment of cancer patients. We're really trying to develop more refined treatment approaches where we target specific subpopulations of patients with particular treatments which are geared for their particular disease type. And by doing that, we have more effective medicines, but also safer interventions. And I suppose the science and the process of precision oncology is really facilitating this more targeted approach. For that, really, I suppose we need to kind of bring together various different new technological solutions, the power of molecular biology, but also importantly the area of advanced data analysis. It's a specific area that Mark is particularly interested in, is really harnessing the power of computational biology, machine learning, artificial intelligence in terms of analysing data.
It's really important to make use of the power of data. We see this opportunity really to understand in much more detail what cancer is, what causes cancer, how we can prevent cancer, but to use data to help us in that. And really looking at that on an all-island basis is particularly important, bringing together different skill sets, complementary skill sets, so that we can really use the data to really interrogate what's happening within a cancer cell, for example, but bringing that all the way up to actually being able to develop either a new therapy or a new diagnostic, but also understanding what's the incidence of cancer, people dying of cancer, can we reduce that? And as Liam said, a critically important part of this whole initiative is the involvement of patients, co-creation with patients, and looking at ways in which we can actually make sure that patients have a better quality of life, that they actually go to live not with but beyond cancer. and then that they can return to normal healthy living. And in order to do that, you also need to collect data and intelligence to inform that. And also as well, we want to try and influence policy on the island of Ireland. So looking, for example, just recently the new Northern Ireland cancer strategy has been announced. And within that there's a section in relation to data, there's also one in relation to research. And one of the things we really want to do is to use the intelligence that we gather to influence the cancer strategy. And obviously there's an active cancer strategy in the Republic of Ireland as well, but we also look at ways in which we can really embed research. And it's critically important that research is embedded into cancer treatment and cancer care, because we know a study we did about 2 years ago showed that people who are treated in research-intensive hospitals have better outcomes, better survival, better quality of care than those who are not. So that sort of shows you that research isn't just an added extra, it's a critical part of how we deliver 21st century cancer care. The all-island dimension is critical because we've complementary skills. Liam highlighted Precision Oncology Ireland. I'm Scientific Director of DataCamp, which is the UK's health data research hub for cancer. So we're bringing that data expertise, and we see it as bringing together the best minds in complementary areas so that we can really achieve something that not only will have significance on the island of Ireland, but will have significance globally.
We've had a recent funding success under the North-South programme, which is part, funded by the Shared Ireland Unit. And out of the recent award of, I think it was close to 37 million, 1/3 of the funding went to cancer-related North-South programmes. One major programme which is quite relevant to the All-Ireland Cancer Research Institute is a programme called AICRI Start, which really provides a foundation stone for what our vision. It really provides an opportunity for training the next generation of cancer researchers in this area of precision cancer medicine, more targeted approaches. So we'll fund essentially 10 PhD students and 10 postdoctoral fellows across these 10 institutions across the island of Ireland. And this is really just a first step in the process, the foundation stone for a broader programme bringing together cancer researchers across Ireland.
Obviously we're delighted to be here today at the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between University College Dublin and Queen's University Belfast, and that really recognises the excellent research that we're already doing together. Obviously particularly important in relation to AICRI Start, as Liam has said, the recent funding we've got, and that obviously highlights that working together does make sense, that we're better than the sum of our parts by working together. And so it's really important, I think, that there are a lot of different areas where University College Dublin and Queen's University Belfast can work together, but I think obviously we're slightly biased, but we would say cancer is one of those areas, and I think we've been demonstrated that by the funding that we've got, and now it's up to us to deliver on that funding.
Yeah, and I suppose what's clear from today is that we have a lot of strategic alignment, particularly in the research area between University College Dublin and Queen's University Belfast, particularly in the area of the topic of building a healthy world, really, I suppose, coming up with innovative solutions to tackle some of the kind of pressing medical issues that we face, one of which obviously we focus on in cancer, but also the intersection between cancer and other diseases, particularly for example, the intersection between cancer and obesity. And so really by kind of bringing people together, focusing on our kind of common strategic interests, we can actually, help tackle some of these key clinical questions that are outstanding.
Yeah, I mean, one of the challenges obviously has been the impact that COVID has had on cancer indirectly. And so the pandemic has meant that, for example, cancer diagnoses have been delayed, we've missed screening appointments for our citizens, treatment has been affected, and this has a significant impact. So now more than ever we really need to put cancer at the top of the list because of the impact that COVID has had. Otherwise the current COVID pandemic will lead to a future cancer epidemic, and obviously none of us want that.
So the next steps, we're further painting that picture of this overarching framework for cancer research. So we've held a series of research workshops in a number of specific areas. We're also doing further engagement with the industry sector in Ireland, just really building that kind of picture of what we have, a very innovative, I suppose, indigenous ecosystem in the context of industry, which is allied to oncology, diagnostics, therapeutics and other areas. but we want to grow that and burgeon that. And I suppose what we're doing is kind of fleshing out the concept, but also looking at specific programs that we can actually build a big program of scale based on our foundation that we already have.
Really excited. Myself and Liam have known each other for many years, and it's really great for us to be working together, and together we're fighting cancer together, and that's really important.